What are the plans that the government has for these unused schools in Ontario? 𝗂𝐿𝐴 has asked his supervisors who are currently watching the supervised boards in Ontario to take a look at their surplus sites. He wants to take a whole look at the boards and what impact any sort of movement will have on student and student learning. He's going to look at boundary changes, program shifts, and or possibly school closures. But again, his main focus is students and students' achievements. The other major question that's being looked at is whether or not the provincial moratorium on school closures will be lifted. What is the provincial moratorium on school closure? Back in 2017, the Liberal government has placed this on school boards in Ontario. The focus was based on a lot of school boards were closing schools in order to balance their books, and they didn't want that to occur. So they put this moratorium in place in order to prevent schools from doing this because, again, it affects so many families in Ontario. However, the issue that's happening is that there's multiple schools that are half empty and they're costing a lot of money to just run in general. Therefore, the federal government is taking a really close look on whether or not it makes sense having these half-empty schools even open. The purpose of this ban was truly to protect communities and, again, making sure students are not traveling super far just to get an education, especially in the rural areas. However, this has created a lot of financial strain on the boards. They're feeling as if this is unsustainable to be able to put all this funding into schools that really shouldn't be open to begin with. The Toronto District School Board states that it has a lot more space than it has students and that they have to maintain these spaces when instead they should just simply be right-sizing the schools. Many boards like the Toronto District School Board feels as this provincial moratorium on school closure has really forced them to put all their money towards maintaining having the schools open rather than relocating their assets, and really ultimately had led to greater deficits than they really should have. And think about it, like there's boards out here who have like 700 and 600 students, but if there's a school that has 2,000 and a school that has 500 students and they cost the same to operate, that's going to cost the board a lot of money instead of resizing. The governments are looking at underutilized schools and using it for community partnerships with nonprofits as well as municipal organizations. I know that's happening within the TCDSB. Some of the school boards that are closed are being used in order for training for the teachers and or ESL learnings for the community, especially those who are newcomers. And absolutely, it's unfortunate when you're like, I'm looking at the school right across my window, but my kid has to go all the way down here. I get it. That could be extremely frustrating, but we have to really look at, can we balance the book? Because we should and need to balance the book and focus on the funding to go towards student achievement and not keeping the schools open. The provincial moratorium on school closure has been a key factor in why a lot of the Ontario school boards are having financial mismanagement. Therefore, as of early 2026, the government is really taking a hard look at whether or not they should lift the ban. In the end, the government is looking at modernizing and expanding the school board system through looking at their capital budget, which entails looking at older schools, unused schools, potentially right-sizing existing schools. And he's looking at building new and modernized schools for this current generation. In the next video, we're going to talk about will your child be forced to switch schools? See you in the next video. Bye, and God bless you.